Eagle Nation, it's a new day for Georgia Southern men's basketball. We have the pleasure of speaking with new head coach Charlie Henry, former assistant coach at Iowa State and at Alabama, also spent time in the NBA with the Indiana Pacers and the Chicago Bulls, and was the former head coach in the G League with the Windy City Bulls. Can't tell you how excited we are to have you here, to wife Tisha, to son Nash, to your daughter Dixie Grace, just 5 weeks old. Congratulations on this honor. Welcome to Statesboro.
Yeah, it's great to be here. We're unbelievably excited about the opportunity here at Georgia Southern, and excited about transitioning to Statesboro and making it our home.
What are the emotions like bringing your family to be a part of this family?
It's been exciting. It's been exciting. It's been a bit of a whirlwind. Obviously, trying to finish the season at Alabama, it was disappointing. The way it ended, we were obviously hoping that this day wouldn't happen for another week, but at the same time, you were torn up because, while you wanted to, do a great job with the guys you had coached all year and an unbelievable group of guys, when you went off at night, you were excited about the opportunity that was awaiting you at Georgia Southern. So it's conflicted emotions, but now that I'm here, I'm just ecstatic to be here.
Grew up in Canton, Michigan, about a half hour outside of Detroit. Your dad was a coach, so being able to go to the gym and watch him, how did that help you develop your love for this game?
Yeah, it was awesome. My dad was a longtime high school coach just outside Detroit, and I went to a small Catholic school growing up, and we would get done with the day. Obviously, my school recess was my favorite subject at lunch, but when we got done, I would just walk up the road and meet my dad in the gym and watch him run practice, shoot on the side, hang with the guys, all that stuff. So I feel like I've been around a team my whole life. My dad was a fiery competitor. He coached the guys hard, so I also think it gives you, unique perspective and some thick skin when your dad's a coach, because the players you look up to and you're really your heroes growing up, there's going to be a day where they might be pretty upset with your dad, and you kind of got to live in that reality. So it toughens you up, gives you some thick skin, but it's been a dream come true. It's something I wanted to do my whole life, so I feel like I've lived a dream up to this point, and this is just another step.
You played 4 years of point guard in college at Madonna University, but at what point did you want to become a coach?
Yeah, I always, I knew that my future was in coaching. Obviously, I loved playing. I'm not the biggest dude, so I knew it wasn't going to be, when you're young, you grow up wanting to play in the NBA and be with your heroes and all that, but I learned fairly quickly that, my future was, if I wanted to stay around the game long term, it was going to be coaching. And I always saw myself as a coach at some point. That was my plan, and I laid it out for anyone that asked. Yes, I was going to, go be a graduate assistant, work my way up, and ultimately be a head coach one day. So it's worked out, just obviously with God's blessing, working for some special people that really looked out for me and taking care of me. I feel like I'm pretty dang lucky.
Learning the game from guys like Nate Oates, Frank Vogel, Fred Hoiberg, what do you take from them to help you develop your coaching style?
For sure. As a young coach, it's so important to be around really, really good coaches, and the three guys you mentioned are all phenomenal. I've worked with some other great assistant coaches too, and you take from those guys. But for each of them individually, I'll start off with Frank. Frank was a first-time NBA head coach. He had finished the year before as an interim coach, and he's an unbelievable worker. He was, you knew he was at night, pulling his own clips and organizing his thoughts, and he was always prepared when he stood in front of the team. So that really stuck with me. Also, I thought he had a really good filter for what to do and what not to do. Sometimes as a head coach you can, do too much, but he had a really strong filter even as a first-time head coach. For Fred, Fred's one of my great friends. He's given me so many opportunities, and I'm forever indebted to him and his family. They're like a second family to my wife and I. Fred was obviously a great player. Back in the day, if you didn't know that, you'll just ask him, he'll tell you. But obviously an All-American in college, but then had, kind of forged out his path in the NBA as playing different roles. So he was really mindful of, you know, how to get everybody on the team bought in and playing with confidence. Very mindful of the messaging with guys, and, you know, wanted them to play loose and free and confident because he had been a player and those were the environments he had played best in. So obviously I took a ton of offense from Fred too. He's a great offensive coach, but really the psychology of the player is probably what sticks most with me with Fred. And then obviously I'll start with my, you know, where I was, you know, I should say I'll end with Coach Oates, with Nate, who's a great friend. He gave me my first job. I got done playing, like you said, and I went and helped him out when he was a high school coach. And he really hasn't changed a whole lot from when he was a high school coach to now that being the head coach at Alabama. He's a relentless competitor, and, you know, obstacles, he just puts his head down, and, you know, he has a saying that I think he took from somebody else, but it doesn't matter, just get better. So he doesn't really spend a whole lot of time worried about challenges and obstacles. For him, it's just something we gotta navigate, get better, and get through. So his just relentless competitiveness to get the job done and ultimately win is what will always stand out. Obviously, friendship as well, but, you know, from a basketball standpoint, just relentless competitiveness.
Think about your time in the NBA when you're surrounded by guys like Larry Bird, Paul George, Dwayne Wade, Derrick Rose, Pau Gasol. What do you take from being surrounded by that much talent, that much ability?
Yeah, no, I was fortunate. It wasn't until I got older that I wanted to work in the NBA. And that was obviously an opportunity that presented itself after a year at University of Utah for head coach Jim Boylan. When he got on with Indiana, he was able to help me get on as well. So, you know, I'm forever, you know, indebted to Jim. Not just that, he also introduced me to my wife, so I got to give him a shout out there. But, you know, being in the NBA was really something that I kind of cultivated that desire later. You know, as you studied basketball, you realized, you know, what a high level of basketball it was, what a high level of coaching it is. I think it gives me an unbelievable message to give to our guys, that you've seen what success at the highest level looks like, you know, from a team standpoint and an individual standpoint. You've seen how those guys conduct their business and what they bring on a daily basis. So it was unbelievable for me to see, and obviously the guys you mentioned, all-time guys. There's also just all-time pros that you've worked with that, you know, maybe they're not, you know, obviously D. Wade, incredible, illustrious career, one of the best, you know, shooting guards of all time. There's other guys to use as examples that just carved out long careers by just being pros every day. So I think what it allows me to do is really, you know, bring that home to our guys, and that messaging is, if this is ultimately where you're trying to go, this is the way you need to operate every day.
Last 4 years at Alabama, and a lot of people associate Crimson Tide basketball with the high-flying offense, some of the fastest tempo teams in the country, but also some of the best defensive teams in the country. 3 top 10 recruiting classes. How do you adapt that approach to the necessary needs here in Statesboro?
Yeah, just really lucky to be a part of Alabama's program, working for Coach Oates the last 4 years. So much that I took from him, so much to learn from. You know, obviously, as you referenced, you know, our offense got a ton of, you know, national just spotlight publicity, because it's very unique to college basketball with how fast we play, the shots we take. Obviously, the 2 years where we were fortunate enough to win the SEC regular season and tournament, you know, our teams were really led by dynamic defenses. With 2 years ago, Herb Jones, one of the best defenders I've ever coached, and then this past year, you know, just a very long, versatile team. So I think when you look at success, really across all levels, but in basketball, you're trying to, you know, put a good plan in place for your team to have success at both ends. You know, the teams that really contend and win their league ultimately usually are good at both ends. So that's what we're trying to do here. You know, as offense, defense. No, we want to be good at both ends. We want to be balanced. And our years at Alabama, our 4 years, that's what we strive for. Obviously, from a recruiting standpoint, Coach did an unbelievable job, targeting guys that he thought could impact the game at both ends. Obviously, system fits offensively. He wanted as many guys he could that could dribble, pass, shoot, but he also wanted them to have an identity and a competitiveness to their game defensively, to where we knew we could win with those guys. So we'll be doing the same thing, just working relentless to, obviously identify those guys, recruit them as hard as we possibly can, bring them here to Statesboro and show them everything I've seen the last couple of days.
Now that your feet are officially on the ground, what are the first orders of business?
Yeah, it's first orders. It's felt like a lot here the last couple of days, but obviously what I want to do first off is meet with our current guys. And when I talk about our current guys, our signees as well. I think, the guys that have stayed committed through the transition, and the signees that I've obviously spoken to over the phone, sitting down with those guys, face to face, them getting to know me, laying out a plan, collectively and individually. That's the biggest thing for me, because their support and their commitment through the process it's been really, really important, and it's energized me. So they're going to be the first order of business. Obviously, we got 13 scholarships, so they'll be the first order of business, and then the second order of business is obviously going to be, filled in the rest of the roster. So, staying committed to the guys that have obviously stayed committed to us through the process, and then, obviously, as I put together our staff, which is going well, it's finding the right guys to bring to Georgia Southern.
Last question I'll ask you. What is the most important piece of advice that you've received, and who gave it to you?
I'll go back to my mom. Special lady. Obviously, coaches' wives are a special breed.
Yeah.
I feel like my wife is the same mold, but my mom, man, she, there's 5 of us. As my dad was away a lot, obviously coaching, because us coaching types are a little nuts, but he was gone a lot, and I could say the best thing my mom ever did was just make me believe I was capable of doing whatever I set my mind to. So that's really stuck with me, just the belief she poured into me, and obviously it's what I want to do to, it's what me and my wife want to do to our son, our daughter. And obviously the same thing I want to do to the players I coach.
We are thrilled to have you here. Can't wait to learn more about you and your family. Again, congratulations and best of luck in this new venture here at Georgia Southern.
Hail Southern.
That's head coach Charlie Henry, new head coach of Georgia Southern men's basketball.